Hi, my name is Scott Duffee. I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and I really enjoy doing the Red River Jig. Also known as Métis Jigging or just plain jigging. It's a special dance in Canada's Northwest, and many different nations, many different cultures enjoy doing the Red River Jig, and many different communities kind of have their own style of doing the Red River Jig. Today I would like to introduce you to some basic movements that you'll often see in the Red River Jig, or these movements would also be considered the starting point to learning how to jig. And of course, it's a great way to exercise. As with any exercise routine, I'd encourage you to make sure you check with your doctor first to make sure you're in a good situation to begin doing some exercise. And I would also encourage you to go at your own pace. Be patient with yourself and be easy on yourself. The main point here is to just enjoy moving to the music, to get the blood flowing and to get the body loosened up. So let's get started. And the way I'd encourage you to get started is to just start shifting your weight from foot to foot. And just try to get in touch with how that feels to fully shift your weight from side to side. It's a really important part of doing the jig. So when you're learning or when you're practicing, it's really good to get in touch with your body as you shift your weight from side to side. Now from here, we can try to connect with the music a little bit. Maybe put a little bend in the knee every time you shift your weight. Maybe do a very slight bounce, whatever is healthy for your knee and for your situation. And as you do that, you can try to connect to the rhythm of the music and just basically dance. So remember, what we're doing here is we're shifting our weight from side to side, and we're giving a little bend in the knee, whatever feels comfortable. We're just basically dancing, trying to connect to the music. Alright, so as you feel yourself warming up, I'd encourage you to, if you feel any tension in your body, try to loosen it up a little bit. Hear the music speeding up a little bit, so it gives that festive feeling, but just go at your own pace. Now remember to try to loosen up, loosen the arms up, try to loosen the legs a little bit. When I'm teaching a class, I'll often say, pretend your legs and your arms are like overcooked spaghetti. Let's try to loosen them up a little bit. So remember, what we're doing here is we're shifting our weight from foot to foot, and we're throwing in a little bounce, a little bend of the knee. You can just do a little bend of the knee like this, or you can make it into a little bounce. And you're just trying to warm up, get some exercise, have some fun dancing, and connect to one of the traditional fiddle tunes. All right, so that's a pretty good warm-up. So we'll slow it down again. Try to keep the body feeling as loose as you can. Keep a little bend in your knee as you move. There, that's a great warm-up to the Red River Jig. This basic step that I want to demonstrate and teach is called the resting step. And this is how the resting step looks at full speed. Okay, so that's how the resting step looks. And the way to start doing the resting step is try to remember the warm-up where you're shifting your weight from side to side. And try to do that to the rhythm of the music if you can. Throw in your little knee bend. And pretty soon we're going to throw that step in here. And that's throwing in the step. 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. So the pause is pretty important as a way to stay in time with the music. So there's the 3 counts and then there's the pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. Another way to think about it is shifting your weight. Shift, 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 pause, shift, 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 pause, shift, 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 pause, shift, 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 pause. So this is about half speed, and if this speed is good for you, then just keep at this speed. If you're feeling like you're ready to speed up the step a little bit, we can work our way to full speed, and we'll slowly do that. We'll be going off time from the music a little bit as we speed up. And speed up a little more. There, that's about full speed. Now you'll notice the Red River Jig has a high part that's playing right now. And then it goes into a low part. And right now is the low part. So for traditional Métis style Red River Jig, the high part is often danced in a circle. So you can practice doing the resting step going in the circle. And once the low part comes on, you can just do the resting step on the spot. High part, we'll do this in a circle. Low part, we'll do it on the spot. So, when we're preparing for the next high part, I'm going to do this circle going backwards now. And that's a good way to confuse yourself, but also It really connects your brain to your legs for some reason when you do the step going backwards. And the music speeds up a little bit so we can speed our step up a little bit. Do that resting step going backwards again. And let's try going forwards again. And let's try going backwards again. So, this is the basic resting step, and you can liven it up a little bit by adding a kick. So, to add the kick, I would encourage you to first start doing a basic kick warm-up. To do the kick warm-up, we want to remember that the kick isn't just a kick. It's also you're scuffing the ground with the bottom of your shoe or the bottom of your moccasin. And this is where moccasins are a really nice footwear for doing the Red River Jig, because they have leather on the bottom, which has a little bit of a slide to it on the floor. If you're using a rubber bottom shoe, it'll often catch and make it very hard and uncomfortable to jig sometimes. So I encourage you to use moccasins, and I often will put a nice thick sole in my moccasins as well from a pair of running shoes or something, just to make them a little bit more comfortable. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, when you do the kick, remember it's also a scuff. So you don't want to scuff so hard that it stops your foot. You want it to scuff just enough to make a little scuffing noise on the floor. So I'd encourage you to practice that a few times till you start to feel comfortable doing that. Find yourself catching on the floor, just try to maybe lift your leg a little bit while still doing the scuff. You can practice scuffing the ball of your foot or scuffing the heel of your foot, whatever feels comfortable. Or you can practice scuffing the whole flat part of your foot. Whatever works, just try to do a little scuff in there. You might also notice that I'm kind of giving a little snap as I scuff. So this can take some getting used to. And again, what I often say to students learning that basic kick is to pretend your legs are like overcooked spaghetti. Just pretty loose. Kind of put all your weight on one leg and practice that scuff kick. And try to make the scuff noise. And as you snap your foot back, it might give a little tap on the ground, which is another nice sound when you're doing the Red River Jig. So just practice that. Practice that a few times, and then there's a warm-up exercise you can do that really helps you get used to the scuff kick. And that's when you do a scuff kick before every step. Try to add a little bend of the knee in there, and eventually you try to go the same speed as the music. And it's really good to do this going in a circle motion. It's a little bit easier to do it as a form of walking. So we'll slow that down in about half time. And slowly we'll speed up, catch up to the music. And we'll do the scuff kick walk, going in a forward motion. Now this basic warm-up step is also great to do going in a backwards motion, because somehow it can kind of connect your legs to your brain and it helps you get a little bit better at the step. Alright, so that's the basic scuff kick warm-up. Now that we've done the basic resting step and the basic scuff kick warm-up, we're going to combine the two and we're going to throw a kick in with your basic resting step. One. Okay, so that's what the basic resting step looks like when you throw in a scuff kick. So the way to add that scuff kick, again, you mainly do the resting step at about half speed. And we'll count it out, or we'll sound it out. 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. After the pause is when you shift your weight to the other side. Shift, 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 pause, shift, 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 pause. And then before you shift your weight, that's when you add the scuff kick. Shift, 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 pause, shift, 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 pause, shift, 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 pause, shift, 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 pause. So you add the scuff kick before you shift your weight completely to the other side. And that's how you incorporate the scuff kick into the basic resting step. So I'll slow that back down to about half time and I'll sound it out. Shift, 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 pause, kick, shift, 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 pause, kick, shift, 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 pause, kick, shift, 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 pause, kick. And we'll go from half time speed and we'll try to speed up to where we're keeping time with the music. Alright, so let's do this step, going forward in a circle. And when the music's low, we'll do the step on the spot. Alright, so the next time the music goes high, we'll try doing this step going backwards in a circle. And the music has also sped up here a little bit, so that should really liven up the step. So we'll do the step going forward in a circle. And with the music low, we'll do the step on the spot. Now we'll try doing the step going backwards in a circle. And the music's low, so we'll do the step on the spot. So, If you're feeling like you're exerting a little too much, feel free to just slow it down and just try to keep the basic movement as best as you can. Whatever speed is comfortable for you is the speed you want to be at. And again, you can try to loosen up your body a little bit, especially the legs when you do the scuff kick. And the knees when you try to give a little bend as you step. Speed up to the speed of the music again. Alright, so there's the basic scuff kick mixed in with the resting step to give you a little bit of a fancier resting step. So far, we've learned how to do a basic warm-up with the Red River Jig where you're just shifting your weight from side to side, throwing in a little bend of the knee, and later throwing in a bit of a bounce and trying to connect to the rhythm of the music. So that's a basic warm-up, and when you do this warm-up, you want to loosen your body up, try to have some fun, enjoy dancing to the music. If you feel tension in your body, try to loosen it up and just try to feel that shift of the weight from side to side and that little bend of the knee, whether you just do one bend or you throw a couple bends in there for hops. Then the next thing we learned was the basic resting step. And that was a 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, 3, pause. And another way to say it would be shift, 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 pause, shift, 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 pause. And then you just do that at your own speed until you feel comfortable to catch up to the speed of the music. And again, that one could be done in a circle going forward or a circle going backwards. Or just do it however you want. Whatever feels like you're having fun and getting the type of exercise you want with it. Okay, and then I wanted to show how to add a kick to that resting step. So when you add a kick to the resting step, this is basically how it looks. So now that we've learned a basic resting step that you can do on the high part of the Red River Jig, I'll teach you a fancy step. So the Red River Jig is made up of your basic step that you'll do in the high part of the music, and then when the music goes low, you'll often stop and do a fancy step on the spot. So this fancy step is a pretty mellow fancy step, but it looks really nice when you get good at it and you get keeping time to the music when you're doing it. When you're doing this fancy step, the main thing to remember is how it feels as you shift your weight. So I'll give you a demonstration what the fancy step looks like, and then we'll get into how to do this step. So for that particular fancy step, the main thing to remember is how it feels as you shift your weight from side to side. So when we shift our weight, we can give a full shift where we put all of our body weight from one leg to the other. And we'll usually give a slight bend of the knee as we do that. And as you remember, when you did the resting step, you did a small shift to the other foot and then back with all your weight to the other side. Shift, small shift, full shift. Shift, small shift, full shift. So as you're shifting your weight, you can do a full shift, which is all your weight, and you can also do a little small shifting of your weight. A little small shift and then back to the full shift. So this fancy step incorporates a full shifting of the weight and a small shift, then back, full shift of the weight. Small shift, then back. And when you do the small shift, you're going to do one on the toe, then one on the heel. So you practice that and try on the other side. So all your weight is on this one leg, then you do a small shift on your heel, then a small shift on your toe. Just enough, shift your weight just enough to move the other leg a little bit. And it's kind of a little slide movement that you're doing with the other leg. Then you change sides, shift all your weight to the one leg, little bend in the knee, and then give a small shift to the heel, small shift to the toe. And you shift your weight just enough to give a quick little slide movement on the other leg that has the full shift of weight happening on it. And then we'll try the other side again. Small shift and back. Small shift back, small shift back. Heel, back, toe, back. Change sides. And as you speed up, try to keep time with the music as best as you can. Just go at your own pace and be gentle on yourself. So we're working our way up to full speed. And there, that's about full speed. So now the music is in the high part, so I'll do the main resting step. And when the music goes low, I'll do the fancy step. And back to the resting step. So, as a basic review, this fancy step is really about knowing how that feels to do a full shift and then a small shift. Small shift, full shift. Small shift, full shift. It's just a little shift of the weight on your heel and your toe, and then you go to the other side, all your weight on this leg, and then just small shifts of weight to the heel and toe. And you do that as best as you can to the speed of the music, but just go at your own pace at first. So the high part, we'll do the resting step. The low part, we'll do our fancy step. So there's a basic Red River Jig fancy step.